DR fam, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Had a great Tuesday. Let's talk about DR Day. Really, only one trade need to pay attention to today. But you know what? Let's go out a little bit and let's talk about where we are, higher time frame. Right? This seems to be interesting to some folks, and so let's talk about it. And if you remember, I think it was last week. Actually, yeah, when I was getting ready for that Sunday prep, I think I did it on Friday. We talked about, this is a daily time frame, by the way. So forget this little red candle because that's today. I mean, as far as like that's the Asian session, so we're not counting that right now. But if we look at what happened with the like the day up till 4 o'clock, you see that we moved up again, and you see where we are now. We literally went up into that. Let me make this a little bigger. So we're in the weekly fair value gap, bearish, right? We've been in that one. We kind of messed around with it yesterday, and then today we went further up into it, and we actually went up into the daily fair value gap, and then we kind of rejected off of that a little bit. Okay, so and if you guys remember what we talked about, I think it was like we said like there was probably like four opportunities here. Talked about this yesterday. One was going up and then coming down. The other ones were coming down to this bearish, bullish fair value gap and then moving up. And then we could potentially actually come down to this one and then move up that way. So we kind of had like four things that we could potentially do, or three things that we could potentially do. Right. So looks like so far we're starting on this track right here. Now where do we go? How high do we go before we come back down? Now again, remember, bearish fair value gap means price. Oops, sorry. That means that price wants to go this way. Okay. So we're in the gap now, but this is a daily, sorry. So, and this is again, we're looking at a weekly, this is the daily chart. We're looking at weekly and daily fair value gaps. So we have some opportunities there. So if you ask me, kind of just what I'm looking at from a higher time frame standpoint, we took out, so we took out the weekly buy side, right? So we can actually get rid of this. So that's no longer valid. Okay. And we didn't reject really off of it that way. So one thing we see we got here, and we start taking this weekly buy side, I would expect price to come back down this way. So, right. So it didn't do that. So now, like I said, it kind of went above it. Now we're in this fair value gap. So now I'm expecting it to, at some point, come back this way. And where that should happen is probably right around, so we have a monthly buy side liquidity on this line right here. So about 44.33. So, and if you notice, that is basically half of this block, right? That's kind of in the middle of that block, right? Which is normally a good place to for price to reject. And so I'm looking for us potentially to move up here. Oh gosh, why did I do that? Hold on, people. All right, let's see. Okay. Actually, I need to get rid of that block. Anyway, get rid of that fair value gap. We don't need that anymore. We've ran through it. Well, again, I'm expecting us to come up above, right, close to take that monthly out, and then potentially reverse back this way, okay? Which could actually then turn back around to this gap and then come back this way. So, not sure, but you always try to have an idea where you think things are gonna go, and then you just adjust from there. Now again, like so we've actually pierced that daily fair value gap. So also a possibility again we could actually just reverse off of that and come back down to these bullish gaps. Okay, that's also a possibility. So it's just a matter of understanding. We understand price action. We can start to see okay where we expect things to go and how we expect them to react to certain parts of the chart. Okay, so it's just interesting to watch it play out. If you guys are old enough to remember Hannibal Smith on the A Team, I love it when a plan comes together, and so I always love it when I'm, have planned out a trade or planned out movement from a chart, and it actually works out. So we'll see. I got two options that I'm waiting on, and we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm not gonna spend too long on today. I promise. This was a relatively easy day, kind of like yesterday. Had one trade to take. Okay, so let's make this a little bit bigger. so we can see it. Okay. So range wise, we were at let's say 43.72 up to 43.92. So a nice 20-point range. So that's more what we're used to. And again, I had to have a little more patience today. Again, like yesterday, we had to have patience till like 1 p.m. I think yesterday. Today we had to have patience till about 12. Okay, so we came up, we confirmed right after the 10:30 time frame. So a very tight confirmation. Now, if you notice, we have a bullish fair value gap here. So I thought price might come back around really quick and then make that move this way. But it didn't do it really quick. It actually took a while. Okay, so if you take this out further, you'll see what happens, right? So we actually did come back down into that gap and then reverse off of it. Okay, now so here's, we always say we want to look at the retrace for DR. Okay, now here's where again you start looking at multiple areas or multiple things that can tell you when to go in a trade. I would not have taken this trade yet. Okay, so I know we retraced over here. Let me make sure I got my thing on. We retraced over here, but because this gap was so close to that IDR and DR, I would actually wait for it to come into that gap, right? So my trade would have been probably this green candle right after that red candle, because I'm looking for, and I know I can't draw this straight, but you guys get the idea. I'm looking for I'm looking for it to come above that line and then go back up into the above that DR, right? If that makes sense. Okay, so just trying to, again, that's another confluence area for me. So, do I risk it missing me here? Because if you look at the gap between DR and IDR, it's not that much of a gap. So that's not really helping me to see, when to take the trade necessarily. I know I retraced, so I know I can just put my order on here and wait. Okay, I can do that. I'd get picked up here. I might get stopped out on this little, I don't know why that candle rocketed down that way. But that's probably more than 5 points or very close to 5 points. So you might have got stopped out here. Even still, if you did, you could have just done it and put the trade here, right? Put it right back on that IDR on the next candle and then let it, play itself out. This was a 10-point trade today. Easy, not say easy 10 points. You have to work through all this junk first to get there. But once it started taking off, I think it got to 10 points pretty easily. Okay, so, but like I said, for me, I would have probably just waited a bit for price to come into the fair value gap and then reverse off of that. Okay, not saying you have to. Like I said, I could have easily put a trade up here on DR as well, and it would have done the same thing. It's just another confluence area that tends to work out pretty well. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to hold you guys tonight. That's it. This week we've had two 10-point trades that have just worked themselves out, and so if you keep score, 20 points in 2 days, I don't think anybody would sneeze at that. Unless you're doing some serious scalping. But if you're running 9 to 5 and you can just put an order on, put your alerts on and wait for a price to get into your zones, then there's nothing, that's a good return on your investment, so to speak. All right. Anyway, again, hope you guys had a great day, and I appreciate getting a lot more comments and DMs and things, people asking questions. So I appreciate those. I make sure I try to answer all of them when I see them. And so keep asking, and we'll keep learning and growing together. All right, you know the rules. Love on your loved ones. You never know when you won't be able to do it again. So take advantage of each and every opportunity. You guys be blessed, and I will talk to you guys later.